Hey again. Today I'm going to talk about Jane Austen, alright? And specifically a new book that came out a few years ago, and they just came out with a sequel to it called Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, alright? But before I get into this book, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I think of Jane Austen in general, okay? The first Jane Austen book I ever encountered was Mansfield Park. Okay, I read that when I was 17. I was studying British literature at Miami University, and I got to read that book. And really, I really liked that book a lot. You know, I thought it was pretty charming. You know, I was new to British literature, never read anything big except for Shakespeare. And of course, I was at a point in my life, at the time, where I was just starting to be interested in literature and thinking maybe I might major in English, you know. And then I've read other books, along the way that she wrote. I have them all right here in my Kindle app on my Droid. That's pretty cool. Yeah, we live in the modern age, and now we don't always have paper books, which is pretty cool. But the thing I don't like about Jane Austen now is that all of her books are the same. Okay? Alright, when I read Mansfield Park, I thought, this is cool. A few years later, I read Pride and Prejudice, and I thought, okay, we're getting kind of repetitive here, but it's okay. And then I tried to read Sense and Sensibility, and was like, okay, I can't even finish this. I already know where it's going, I already know how it ends. The plot is always the same. It's always some girl out in the British countryside, and she's squeamish about marrying some guy, and yeah, it's all kind of blah. And I figured that was probably the end of me reading anything Jane Austen related until I got this book here for Christmas. It's pretty neat. It's Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. Basically, it's a mashup. Seth Grahame-Smith took Jane Austen's original book and he just ad-libbed, for lack of a better word. He took the original text and he inserted his own rewordings and little bits and pieces and whatever have you, and just made it into a totally different story. And he said the reason he did this was because to him, the original book, it really lent itself to being a zombie horror adventure story, which I would have never imagined that in a million years, but he made it work, so there you go. So essentially what this is about is it's the original story in its entirety with more added to it. The original story being that this girl Elizabeth and her four sisters are, country people in English society. They're, I guess you could call them middle class. I mean, I wouldn't call them super rich, but they do okay. And they're all coming of age, and of course their mother's big purpose in life at this point is just to make sure they all marry well. They gotta find some rich guy somewhere to marry. Yeah, and that's the whole story. And then she meets this guy, Mr. Darcy, and she hates him, and then she loves him, and then they live happily ever after. It's lame. But anyway, this is the same thing, only there are zombies roaming the countryside, and the five girls are all trained to be ninjas, okay? They're all like ninja zombie slayers. Okay, same story though. Usually in most of the scenes that I felt were originally kind of boring, that's when the zombies come in, and I think that actually changes it up a lot. Early scene early on is they're at a ball at their neighbor's house, and he's supposedly like the big interest for the girls. The parents are hoping one of the girls will marry this guy because he's a rich, wealthy, land-owning guy. I guess he's a lord of some sort. I don't remember. But anyway, they're at this stuffy ball, but in this book, all these zombies break through the window. All right, there's a picture of that. And it said, as guests fled in every direction, Mr. Bennet's voice cut through the commotion. Girls! Pentagram of death! And there you have in the picture, they're all like slicing up zombies and stuff. It's kind of silly, yeah, but not bad. Another key thing that I found interesting was one of the characters, and that was Mr. Darcy's aunt. In the original story, she was just this real snobby rich lady who, towards the later part of the book, when Elizabeth and Darcy start to kind of click, you know, and the idea of them being married is starting to be tossed around, she doesn't feel that Elizabeth Bennet is good enough for her nephew, okay? And she tells her that too. She's like, yeah, he's too good for you, and blah, blah, blah. Well, in this book, they did the same thing, only they made the aunt a ninja master, and she has like a little gang of ninjas that work for her, and she's repeatedly sending the ninjas after her. There's a page in here. Here it is. As you can see here, yeah, it's a good illustration of Elizabeth fighting ninjas, you know, and the aunt's like in a kimono, and she looks all evil and mean, and but still the idea is the same. She doesn't approve, so they kept it the same. The ending is still the same, but along the way they're slaughtering zombies and whatnot. They made, as I said before, they made a prequel, and it's called basically Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, Dawn of the Dreadfuls. And it's the same thing, basically, same idea, but it's a prequel, and, you know, there's more hackings of zombies and whatnot, and, yeah. So, if I had to rate this book, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. And the reason being is that this book is kind of for everybody. You know, you don't have to be a fan of, you know, Victorian era romances to really appreciate this book. I mean, this is a book that a big, you know, manly man could enjoy reading, you know. I mean, yeah, I enjoy books of people getting hacked up and stuff as much as the next guy. And I like this too, you know. It's not too bad. So go ahead and check it out. There you go. And if you've read the classics, hey, you know, why not read it and take the next step, you know? Have a little fun with it. And I think that's what this book is all about. It's all about just having fun, you know? They're not bastardizing the literature or anything like that. They're just kind of making, you know, poking fun at it, you know? So yeah.